Daddybear America, it's a well understood joke that the older you get in the gay community, the more invisible you become. It's a very youth obsessed culture. And today we're going to talk about that, the wider implications from the wider diversity community, and some things that we can do to change the invisibility of older men. Older men should be visible. They should be able to be seen as sex objects if they want to be. And they should be seeking out romance and able to find it. In this day and age where dating apps are youth obsessed, what can we do to solve this problem for and about older men, and specifically older gay men? Let's get into it. Okay, thank you for joining me on this very interesting and provocative episode talking about older men dating, romance, sex, and their apparent invisibility to the rest of society. What can we do to change all of this so that older men are visible, sexual, seen as romantic, and options for a really great dating scene? I mean, that would be my ideal scene. So, we're going to talk about all that today. Before I do that, let me just suggest that you click the subscribe button. Also, click the like button. It helps distribute the video to more people. And if you want to become a contributing member, the join button is down there as well. It costs about the price of a cup of coffee. That goes to help me be able to write brand new, fresh material on a weekly basis. And just for context, if you sign up right now, you get access weeks ahead of the general public to all of the material that we're producing here. And this video went live to members on October 17th. And the public isn't seeing it until near November. So that just gives you an idea of the benefits to be joining and becoming a supporting member. All right. On to the material that we are so interested in. Why are gay men, why do they become invisible to society? Why do they become invisible to the smaller, more micro society of the LGBT community? And specifically, gay men, young gay men. That's what we're talking about today. So it was said to me early in my sort of dating, I started going to gay bars when I was maybe 21. I mean, that's when you can legally drink, so that's when you can legally go to a gay bar, but I was very nervous. I remember the first time I went to a gay bar, I actually stood outside for like 15 minutes, sort of like deciding what I was going to do and like how was I going to do this and what if somebody looks at me when I walk in, and that's how it was back then. And this was 2001 when I was 21. So things have changed for a younger generation, but back then it was still difficult to come out and difficult to deal in terms of going to a gay bar. Now, once I got in there, it was like, oh, nobody really cared, and maybe I got a few glances from some interested guys, but I was really concentrating on just going in and sitting down at the bar to have a beer. Now, once I sat at the bar and got to know a few people, and it became clear that I was, well, frankly attracted to much, much older guys, the joke was that a gay man over 30 is already dead. That they don't even exist to gay culture, that gay culture is extremely youth obsessed. And that was back then. And that was when gay culture was mostly just gay men. And since then, women and trans and queer, I don't like that word, but they use it, and non-binary have infiltrated and taken over all of these groups. Meanwhile, Gay bars have been closed down because gay apps have become so successful, and there's also the trend of younger people not drinking alcohol, which I can't criticize. I mean, alcohol is technically poison, so not the best pastime. But the fact remains, gay bars closed down, apps took over, trans and non-binary became heavily influential in the LGBT community, and gay men, and specifically gay white men, were tossed by the wayside. Not to mention gay older men who were already sort of considered non-existent, then went on to become completely invisible. I think what we need to do is a quick look back on history and just see how the gay rights movement really was birthed and how it went. So in the 60s and 50s and 40s, basically there were gay bars, or bars that would have gay nights, but it wasn't publicized. And it was kind of dangerous if you were a gay man to go there. This is just after the Lavender Scare with the McCarthy era, and basically it was not advisable to be gay in society. And then police would catch on to the gay nights, and then they would decide to raid a specific bar or multiple bars on one night, and then they would publish the names in the newspapers. Not to mention, you can't be out because you would lose your job, you would be alienated from public life. Your friends, if they found out, were, displeased and fearful of you. And then your families would disown you, and you might get kicked out of your apartment as well. In the 70s, a lot of psychologists tried to get the term gay removed from the psychology terminology as a disorder. And in 1973, they were successful. It was removed as a disorder, a mental disorder. And then from there, the gay rights movement really took off. And we didn't really talk about Stonewall, but Stonewall was a major motivator for the gay rights movement. In 1969, Stonewall, which is a gay bar in New York City, and I've gone there and it's fine. It's kind of grungy and dirty, but if you're into that type of thing, and it was mostly gay men, and specifically gay white men. Now, there were some cross-dressers and some lesbians who would also associate there, but mostly we're talking about, when we talk about gay history, we're talking about gay white men. That is the majority today, and that was the majority back then. So when Stonewall broke out, no, it wasn't Marsha P. Johnson who threw the first brick. This is what I call the transification of history, where trans, who is now a very powerful lobby group, is transing gay history.
I would tell them I was a boy and I was in drag, and I would tell them that I would go like hustling, and would they want to go out? And they say, yes, I want to go out. And then when they get up in the hotel, and I take off all my clothes, and I can't believe it's your boy. That I know this man couldn't believe I was a real woman, honey. I'm just a transvestite.
Persistent myths about Stonewall is that Marsha threw the first cocktail glass. Marsha herself said in an interview that I did with Marsha, I didn't get there until 2.
I was uptown. I didn't get downtown until about 2 o'clock, because when I got downtown, the place was already on fire and it was a raid already.
What happened was, it was an enormous amount of gay men, specifically gay white men, who were upset at the bar raids from the police. And they unified on one specific night in the Stonewall riot and fought back against the police. It's said that the police were the ones that ignited the bar on fire. But when you see pictures of Stonewall on the night and the days preceding, it's a lot of white men, and they're all gay. So that is generally the history. Nobody knows who threw the first stone, and it probably wasn't a transvestite, as they were referred to back then, and it definitely wasn't Marsha P. Johnson, because we have actual audio of her in an interview saying she wasn't even there. So let's not say it was trans people who did this, because it just wasn't. Not to mention, Marsha P. Johnson is a man who identifies as a man. So, okay, moving on. So, 1973, homosexuality is removed from the definition of as a mental disorder. Then moving on into the 80s, HIV and AIDS was absolutely devastating. Overall, almost 500,000 gay men died. And if you're thinking, boy, that seems like a lot, that's because it is. Everyone who is alive today that survived being gay in the 80s basically knows that all of their friends died. And all at the same time. So if you can imagine having PSD about something that happened in your life, just imagine having all your friends die standing around you within a period of a few years. It's tragic. There's a show on HBO called The Leftovers, which really kind of handles the trauma associated with an entire subsection of your community, or the world in this case, just disappearing. And that's kind of what happened. I recommend it. It's a pretty great show. Anyway, I digress. Moving on into the 90s, gay men like me were just coming online. And we were obviously brought up in the scare of HIV and, taught, to be careful. And so that was like a very fearful sort of history that we were taught about. Now, going on, like I said, in 2001, I went to my first gay bar. Turns out it was a bar called This Is It in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you've ever been there, so comment down below. Cute little bar owned by a guy named Joseph Brem, who was became a good friend of mine. He was a big silver teddy bear and such a charming man. I loved the hell out of him. He passed away. But that bar, moving forward in time, has closed down. Not before going all in on the transgender, non-binary, cross-dressing theme of, the past few years. And definitely super woke. And then going out of business. And I can't say that I'm surprised. Basically, this is the trend of a lot of bars. That the bars that were still open went very non-gender specific, very non-binary, transgender, and ultimately they would lose revenue and close. Meanwhile, the apps such as Grindr and Scruff and Daddy Hunt started taking over on cell phones and the internet in general, stealing away the bread and butter of the gay bars at that time, which gay bars were for dating, and dating for older and younger men. And in fact, I met a number of very charming older men at gay bars. It was kind of fun and exciting going. And it was a interesting way for young men to come out into the gay world. These days, you really don't come out to the gay world. You merely create a account on one of these apps and then lurk. And you see people you like and comment and then block. And you're invisible, you're lurking, you're transient, and it's all just a very unsatisfying experience. Now, the apps really cater to geographic distance, so they're highlighting people within feet of you, and that is specifically because it focuses on hookup culture. It also highlights the trans and non-binary cultures within the gay apps. And then the people running these apps say that trans and non-binary are part of our community, But if you're a gay man, you're interested in men and not specifically non-binary and not trans. That's kind of a different thing. You can't block non-binary, you can't block trans. However, they can block you as a gay man, which seems odd. But that's the way things have gone with DEI and generally pushing gay men to the back of the bus, proverbially. So that's gay apps. Not a pleasant experience if you're an older gay man. It's important to point out that during the liberation in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the gay liberation was really a liberation of gay men from all age groups. It wasn't specific to race or gender. It just happened to be predominantly gay white men and of all ages because that is the majority of gay men. But there were blacks and Latinos and all Asians and all the races associated. So in 2017, we really saw the rise of DEI after affirmative action in the early 2000s and then the Me Too movement in the early 2010s. So DEI is basically, it's basically pushing white men to the back and bringing forward other cultures, specifically other cultures that think very similarly. So it might be very progressive, it might be very diverse in skin color and gender diversity. So it's not going to be gay men, and it's not going to be older gay men, because specifically gay older white men are considered part of the patriarchy. Even though, I can't even get started on this, but that's DEI for you. So after a long, hard struggle, gay men started to gain traction and rights and ultimately getting gay marriage. And then immediately other groups came forward and pushed them out of the way. And so we really didn't have a long time in the limelight before ultimately we were pushed aside by women and trans and non-binary women, which are straight women, because they used to be gay men. That's a long story for another topic, another video as well. But that's DEI for you. So as we said earlier, as the bars closed, it was because of the rise of the apps. Now, we have to put a focus on the fact that these apps are focused towards younger audiences, because all apps are. Most 40, 50, 60, and 70-year-olds aren't using apps the way 20-year-olds are. And therefore, the apps are the only option. And once the apps became so prevalent, they killed all the gay bars. And that really left older gay men with no option to go anywhere. And so they can exist sort of in the background on these apps, but it's not a very fruitful existence. It's very difficult to find a match. And of course, it's all about hookup culture because that's youth. And older men generally are looking for longer term, more stable romance rather than just hookups. So the app culture really left no option for older gay men to turn to. It should also be pointed out that in the 90s and 2000s, there were also a number of gay restaurants that were owned and operated by gay men for gay men and lesbians own restaurants as well. And lesbians are a part of this entire conversation, and they fit in anywhere we're talking about gay men as well. and they were pushed aside just as equally. Now, I focus on the gay men because this channel is about gay men, but I would equally have the conversation about the plight of lesbians in this situation as well. So let's start talking about some solutions to all the problems the youth-obsessed culture in America has caused older gay men. First of all, I think we really need to work within the tool set that we were given, the apps. And specifically, there's still websites and there's still apps. And I think we can't just decide that as older men, and believe me, I have noticed as I've gotten older how invisible I have become to younger and older generations. I mean, a lot of older men are focused on 20-somethings and 30-somethings, and now that I'm a 40-something, I'm not as visible. And I can feel that. So what do we do, and what does somebody like me do to become more visible? Well, you have to operate within the tools, the websites, the apps, and also being seen in public. That's basically the way that we can get ahead. And instead of focusing on sex, which is youth-oriented, we should be using these tools and specifically focusing on intimacy and relationships. And making ourselves available as older men so that we can be seen wherever people are being seen, and specifically gay men are being seen. So I would recommend apps like Daddy Hunt. I would not recommend apps like Grindr, but you really can't avoid it because it's the #1 app. So sure, create a profile, check in on it once in a while, do a quick scan, and if you're getting hits from a particular person that seems interested, keep your eye out for spammers. And these apps are a magnet for spammers and scammers. Guys who aren't living in the country, who pretend to be nearby and want to date you, but ultimately end up hitting you up for money so that they can get their, get a ticket out of wherever they are in Ukraine or Vietnam or some country, India, who knows where they are. They might even pretend to be military from the US in another country. Oh, I'll be back in the States in a few weeks after my campaign is finished. They say all sorts of things. Just know that there are tons of scammers and spammers on these apps. Also check out Silver Daddies. I used to not recommend the site because it's so sex obsessed. But unfortunately, these are the tools that we're given, and so we should be visible on them. So beyond just the apps, what else can we do as a community? Well, we can ditch DEI because it really locks in a particular mindset, and that mindset is non-diverse. It's specific to identifying race and gender as a victim mentality. And that's very, very dangerous to society. Instead, what we should be doing is empowering people, and empowering all people for all reasons. Not identifying victims. So gay men are not victims. We are not victims, and we are empowered. And part of empowering ourselves is by getting out and being visible. Furthermore, we can open restaurants, which I would love to do, and I would need some financial backing. We can start just with the join button down below, and we'll start there. Baby steps. But if you do want to contribute to the channel, ultimately my goals are much bigger than just running a channel. So, but yes, if you have goals of running a gay restaurant, that would be a start. Also, gay meetups. There are SAGE events, which relate to older men, older gay men getting together in communities throughout the country. They're organized oftentimes on meetup.com. So that's a website you can organize meetups. I have done a few meetups in the past using Reddit and in collaboration with Meetup, and they were okay. I was trying to do an older, younger theme, and it's difficult because, well, we can get into the details of that later. It's difficult. In any case, maybe an older themed meetup would be a good start, and if younger contributors want to contribute, they could, but it really should focus on older men getting together. But not excluding anybody, and specifically not excluding younger gay men who might be interested in older gay men. So there is that, and there's actually a community out here in Connecticut. I haven't gone, but I've been invited, and the problem is that Connecticut is it's a pretty big state, and most of the meetups were far enough away that it would be an hour drive or more just to go to the meetup. So that's a bit of a problem if you live in rural areas like I do. I'd also encourage intergenerational friendships. So, and this is something I just naturally am attracted to in general. A lot of, almost all my friends are older, much older. They aren't necessarily gay, but a lot of them are gay, and I've always enjoyed having friendships with older gay men. I'd encourage you, if you're an older gay man, to have friendships or form friendships with younger men, and specifically gay men. And it doesn't have to be with a goal of having sex or romance. It can just be friendships. And that would be a great start to sort of getting out in the community, connecting with people, and socializing. I think while doing all this, I think it's important to be able to speak up about gay attraction to other men, even if you're talking with straight people, and without shame or apology. I oftentimes in a lot of, everybody knows that I associate with, everybody knows I'm married to Bill. And so the conversation is already out in the open. I'm married to Bill. That is our relationship. That is my sex. That is my love. And so if I meet a man, another man, or another straight man, the conversation has already taken place, even though it hasn't been said. I have gay sex with a much older man than me. And so talking about gay sex is much easier once that conversation is opened up. But you and guys in general should feel no shame about talking about gay sex. Now, I'm not saying everything has to be like dildos and anal. We can talk about things in a classy sort of way. And it can be about sex with the goal of love. It can be about romance. It can be about intimacy, and not just, like how his cock was the size of a baseball bat or something like trashy like that. So if we can elevate the conversation so that we can have these conversations with other communities and not embarrass ourselves, and also be visible, then that would be empowering. This is all honest, and this is all making older gay men visible. And this is all very important to an entire movement which has been sort of swept aside. To be an older gay man means you are now part of the rebellion, yet once again. So in closing, I think, boy, we've come so far as a gay community from the 50s to the 60s to the 90s, and here we are now. We built this culture. We know these roads. We know how to do this, and we were part of a rebellion, and we now, once again, are part of a rebellion. And we are fighters. It's in our blood. So if we have to fight a little bit to regain some visibility about our desire for sex and romance and stay visible within a community that is much broader and has much more voices fighting for visibility, then we will do that. And I think one step is to make it clear that men can't become women, women can't become men, that sure, trans is part of the community, but it is not the most vocal of the community, and it's a small portion of the community. And non-binary isn't really a thing. It's a made-up thing that the kids did, and it's dumb. There are two genders. There is male and female. One produces semen, the other produces eggs, and that is biology. Our movement as gay men cannot be erased. We are here to stay, and as we get older, we are beautiful, handsome, and attractive. And if you didn't hear that from anyone else, you heard it from me. I'm attracted to older men, and tons of younger men are attracted to older men. So this shouldn't be a surprise. The goal is to become visible, become seen, and then have younger guys see you as the fiery sex objects that you are, and come in for a little love, a little nookie, and hopefully they find something that they want to spend time with, relax, and build a life with. And that's the entire goal of this channel, is to help older men find younger men to be with them for a life of love. If you enjoy material like this, hit subscribe, click the like button, and then if you want to contribute financially so that I can write more material, get the word out in a broader way to more people, click the join button. It costs about the price of a cup of coffee. And that money goes directly to me so that I can write scripts and produce material for you. Now, just as I said earlier, this video went live on October 17th, and it's now like November. So if you want early access to all the material that I'm producing here for guys like you, join today. With that, I'd like to thank the supporting members of this channel who make this all possible. I just purchased a brand new bright light for the studio. It makes everything look better, and it's because of the supporting members I was able to do that, so thank you very much. With that, I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Yeah, that was good.